Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Advertising 314. This week we are reading chapter 15, which is all about social media. And I honestly feel a little bit silly even talking to all of you about social media because we have been consuming social media for so long. It feels like all of us are almost an expert in social media, especially on the platform of your choice. I'm sure all of us have a go-to platform that we use. Mine is Instagram because I'm a little bit older than some of you. And so I gravitate to Instagram at the end of the day and I'm kind of scrolling on there just for fun. And so I create Instagram content. I have two crazy dogs. You probably see them in the background sometimes. So I create content for their page. I consume content on Instagram. I'm sure you have kind of your social media platform of choice. And so it feels almost silly for us to be talking about social media. However, there is a difference between consuming social media and thinking about it from an advertising and a marketing perspective. You still have to be really strategic. You have to look at platforms that you might not be using every day, but that your target audience might be using every day. Sit down. So I'm going to rattle off some things to think about as you switch over from social media consumer to social media advertiser. Now, all of us know this, but authenticity is critical on social platforms, particularly with Gen Z and younger audiences. We can sniff out some fake stuff pretty quickly, right? So we know when something is inauthentic. We know when it feels scripted or fake in some way. And nobody wants to see, read, or absorb that type of content. So important for you as you're wearing your advertising hat to really think about that. Is this organic? Is this authentic to the brand? Does it make sense for our target audience? Visual appeal is key. We know this as consumers of social media. Critical to think about the quality of the pieces that you're producing if you're wearing your advertising hat. It's a crowded space, and so in order to stand out on social platforms, you have to have top quality content. Mobile first approach is really critical on social media. Most of us are using our phones to consume this media. And so if that's the case, you really have to think about, is your specific advertising piece optimized for mobile viewing? Can you read the text? Is the video okay on phone, on a smaller screen in particular? And that really matters with text in particular. Sometimes things are, if you have text in written form, as you shrink in terms of size of the device, text is split up in a different way. So you have to be detail oriented and really ensure that your content and your pieces are mobile friendly. Obviously, short and snappy content is most appealing on social media platforms. Keep the content concise, to the point. Utilize really engaging headlines and captions. Hashtags will give your piece some length. You really should understand the platform. That goes without saying, but I say that because you probably have a platform of choice as a consumer. Understand that that might look and feel very different. The platform might be very different for your target audience. And so think about that. A couple of things that have become very popular in the last, 5 to 7 years are user-generated content and influencer marketing. So user-generated content is a word you hear thrown around in advertising and marketing. You'll also hear the initials UGC, which is user-generated content. That simply means that you're inviting your customers to create content featuring your product or service, and then using that or reposting that, sharing that content that others have created to represent your business. And so you can repost and acknowledge the creator of the content, and that builds a stronger connection with your consumers. Influencer marketing, very similar. It's kind of an influencer with their own fans and followers giving their stamp of approval of your product or service. Both of those things are critically important. I'm sure we all follow influencers and follow people who create UGC content for brands, and that means a lot to us, right? We're fans of these people, we follow them, we buy what they buy, we watch what they watch. And so a really critical component, an essential component of advertising these days. Social media and cause marketing, those are kind of some buzzwords that resonate well on social media. It simply means talk about how your brand gives back to the local community, to the community at large. If you are, for example, committed to sustainable practices, social can be a great way to highlight those practices for your company. Partly because the next element I want to talk about is just engagement and interaction. It's definitely a two-way communication channel. All social channels are. And so think about, as you're developing your social campaign or your social strategy, think about what it's going to mean after you've posted or after you've shared. This is not the end point, right? This is actually the very beginning point in a social media campaign. You post something, you share something. Now your team has to be absolutely ready to continue that two-way process, that two-way communication process. If someone posts a positive point of feedback or a negative point of feedback, if someone shares this piece that's very famous and very popular, you want to be able to capitalize on each of these things that are happening, and you want to do it instantaneously. So social is a great platform, but you do have to be armed and ready as soon as you start your social campaign to continue to go back and forth with many consumers over the process or the life of that campaign. One thing to think about that lots of companies are thinking about these days that use social media advertising, which is basically everyone, is data privacy and transparency. There have been new legal regulations that have been unrolled in the last year or two. I think it's been about 2 years now, that are all based around indication of communicating with consumers about cookie tracking on their devices. So you now are legally obligated to inform your consumers about tracking their whereabouts on your platforms. So if someone visits your website, you are obligated to explain to them that you will be tracking their device and watching what they do on your website. We didn't used to have to say that to people. Now we have to acknowledge that, which is why you see that thing as a consumer. You go to someone's website, I don't know where, ASOS.com, and up pops this little banner ad that says, do you want to allow cookies, or do you want to manage cookies? And that, we're so used to it now. It's been several months. And so we just click really quickly without reading that. As an advertiser, you have to know that that's a requirement of you. And so when you are using social media, driving people to platforms that you own and manage, you do have to be concerned about that data privacy and transparency. That also just is something that social media users are increasingly concerned about, is data privacy. And so think about that as you're developing a campaign and driving people back to your site, for example. You do want to be upfront and honest about privacy measures that you are taking. One reason that social media is so great, other than the fact that we kind of all live on social media, is that as an advertiser, you have the ability to access really valuable analytics and insights that you can use to test and measure your campaign instantaneously. So as soon as something's posted, right away you can see engagement levels, click-through rates, view time. All of that is readily available to you on all platforms of social media. So what this medium of advertising allows you to do is make really data-driven decisions, and you can refine and hone in and perfect your strategy along the way. So social media continues to change, but it also allows you to stay adaptable with the data that it presents to you. And so it's really a helpful and interesting, continues to be like a fascinating medium for advertising. So what I want you to take away from this chapter is, how can I take my consumer hat off, put my advertising hat on, and think about, if I'm going to work in this field, if I'm ever going to do any sort of marketing for my own business, any sort of advertising for another business where I work, how can I think about social media as an advertiser instead of a consumer? And how can I make strategic decisions based on all this information from chapter 15? So I'm going to put a video in here about influencers. And this video is actually about becoming an influencer, but I want you to think about, after learning what it takes to become an influencer, how can you utilize influencers to help promote your brand? That is all I have for this week. Thank you for tuning in, and very good luck on your quiz this week. Thanks. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
What if you could get paid to be on your phone? Predicted to be a $5 to $10 billion industry by 2020, social media influencers are blurring the lines between follower accounts and bank accounts. For those who don't know, A social media influencer is someone who uses their online reputation to advertise products or share opinions and experiences. But the concept of an influencer is nothing new. For over 100 years, celebrity spokespeople have endorsed everything from soda to acne treatment. So if social media is changing the way businesses get the word out, how can entrepreneurs get in on the action? With Instagram now at over 1 billion monthly active users, it's safe to say scrolling has become a significant part of our lives. In fact, the average American spends almost 2.5 hours a day on social media. Whether you're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, or Snapchat, brands have turned to social media influencers to get their messages across. Look at it this way. If you have a makeup brand, it's worth your while to partner with someone who posts about cosmetics and already has a strong and engaged following. Catherine Gaskin is a content creator who leveraged her years of Instagram expertise to launch the Content Planner, a physical planner that helps people manage their social accounts. But you don't necessarily have to be a social media whiz to create a following for your brand.
Even if you're not a content creator or you don't have a camera, you can absolutely outsource this. And there are so many great stock photographers out there now, or content creators that you can hire to shoot content for you.
Since her company launched, Catherine has grown her following from a few thousand to 24,000. She has a couple of suggestions if you're just getting started as an influencer.
Without getting too salesy with every single post, because that's a huge no-no, you don't want to be selling every single post. I like to create a cycle of captions that I can go through.
There are 3 main ingredients for successful social media influencing: content that people genuinely enjoy, a healthy follower count, and in the case of Instagram, an account that's verified. Combine all those ingredients, add a dash of hard work, and you can pretty much call yourself an influencer. But how exactly do you make money? Well, with Google AdSense, anyone with a website or a channel can make money from traffic and views by selling ad space to the highest bidder. But most YouTubers don't earn money from their views alone. They sell products, merchandise, or monetize their influence in other ways. Some influencers earn upwards of $500,000 a year without even getting 1 million monthly views. That's some serious dough. But for businesses looking to leverage the sway of social stars, you don't always need the biggest names. Often it's micro-influencers, personalities who have smaller and more niche followings, who give brands the biggest bang for their buck. They charge anywhere from a few $100s per post to a few thousand. But regardless of what you make as an influencer or spend as a brand, the best tactic is to team up with someone who aligns with your viewpoints. Every internet personality is unique and will market products or businesses in their own way. It also depends on what industry you're in. Video game companies tend to use YouTube and Twitch influencers, while fashion and lifestyle brands partner more with Instagrammers. Since starting in 2014, Alex Tomic grew his oral care brand HiSmile from 0 to 1.2 million customers and counting. Here's what he had to say about choosing influencers.
It's not about a number of followers. It's someone very niche and very specific to their audience, and they're the ones that we essentially really look to align ourselves with as much as possible. The micro-influencers will really be able to give the best context, the best explanation, and their true answer about what that product is, what it means, what the brand's about, and that's what really hits home for their audiences.
Most importantly, influencers actually move the needle. On YouTube, 30% of shoppers are more likely to purchase products endorsed by a non-celebrity blogger than a celebrity. Meanwhile, 70% of 18 to 24-year-olds prefer peer endorsement over anything else. At the end of the day, these social media influencers have not only created a new job title, but a new way for businesses to turn follows and likes into checks and balances.